we ran out of hose, but luckily we have a piece that we cut from another hose that we had, and we took that hose and cut it into two. So we're gonna try and make it work here. We got two nipples. So one has to come through here.
Better hope that you have two nipples.
One's gonna come through here, link up with this piece, and then this piece links up with another piece.
Good morning, guys. So as you guys can see, sort of got the heads apart, getting it ready to do the head install, and that's what we're going to be covering on today's video. It's a Saturday morning, long weekend. It's holiday weekend. It's the 4th of July. Hopefully you guys have had a great 4th of July weekend. And so the first thing we're going to do is drop the studs in and talk a little bit about that. But I'm going to try to do a little less talking, and I think I did too much of that on the last video. So real quickly, just to cover what I will be using for this build, these are ARP2000 head studs. I am reusing them. These came from the old motor. The only reason why I even considered doing that is because these have low mileage on it. And ARP indicated that I can reuse these bolts. So to save the cost, and yeah, okay, you guys are wondering, you know, expensive build, why cheap out on the studs? I don't believe so. You know, like I said, the fact that these have minimal mileage on it doesn't make sense, at least in my opinion, to buy another set, and these aren't cheap. So one of the other reasons to why I decided to reuse these studs is, you know, other than of course ARP saying that I could, and the fact that these have low mileage, like I said earlier, is that there is a 4 to 5 month wait on these studs. So I was also looking for Supra head studs, but there seems to be a shortage in resources, so these things are taking 4 to 5 months to for the orders to be filled. So of course, prior to me using them, I am going to thoroughly clean these and make sure the threads are free of grime and grit and dirt. We'll also be using the ARP suggested lube for putting them on and torquing them properly. Also, I am making sure, I know this is a new block and probably it's overkill, but I'm going to be going through the threads on here as well, just to make sure that there aren't any leftover I guess metal pieces from the milling, and maybe blow air through it just to make sure that that these are clear. And we'll be doing this upside down and putting painter's tape on this guy just so that I don't have anything going in and causing me issues later on. So now that we got them all cleaned, what it's calling for as far as next steps is making sure that you lube up the threads, thread it into the hole, and make sure that it's seated. And by doing that is probably what I'm going to do is I'm going to use an Allen head and just give it a quick tug to make sure that it's seated, and then measure it with a measure the top of the studs with a straight edge to make sure that they're all seated and they're not uneven. So let's go ahead and do that. So I got these things in, just I use an Allen wrench just to give it a quick tug, just to make sure that these things are seated properly. I got the dowels in. The way I did this is with a mallet. One of the ways to do it, just to be kind of sure also, is to maybe get a cylinder, maybe get some washers in here so that when you, this just tall enough so that you can clear the stud and you can hammer on that cylinder onto the washer so that you can get this thing down evenly. But they're chamfered, so you shouldn't have any issues. But anyway, also one thing to note is I'm pretty sure that these guys have done it to spec, but it's always a good idea to kind of make sure that the bolts are to spec also. You know, just so that you have peace of mind. So for this build, I'm going to be using the JE Pro Seal MLS head gasket. Okay, just something a little bit concerning. These passages line up, but that. So I don't know if you guys can see. Half of it is kind of being blocked. So I need to get back with IAG and figure out whether or not they sent me the wrong gasket for this application. So I'm gonna end the video here. I got a couple guys coming. Jacob with his STI, and we're gonna be working on an oil change and a coolant, and possibly installing his air separation tank if we get some time, because I believe it's gonna be pouring today, and I've got the FD out, so need to make sure that she doesn't get poured on. I've got the open hood, but most likely she probably will, so need to cover her up. So anyway, unfortunately this is a short video because of the fact that I need to kind of get this thing resolved first. I'm not going to drop this or use this gasket if it's going to block those two passages. Homie? Good? No, you're good. So, by the way, reason why the Supra is here is because we did a swap. While the RX-7 was outside, while we were working on Jacob's car, we had a heavy downpour, and I think something got wet because she would not start, so we had to push her in. But before doing so, I made sure that I at least had something to drive. So I took the Supra out prior to moving the RX-7 in, just so that I have something to drive for the weekends, because I'm not quite sure whether or not I'm going to be able to have the time to troubleshoot as to why she hates to start after getting wet. So anyway, just kind of wanted to note that, and talk to you guys later.